OSHA 1926 Subpart A General. 1926.1 Purpose and Scope. 1926.1 A. This part sets forth the safety and health standards promulgated by the Secretary of Labor under Section 107 of the Contract Work Hours and Safety Standards Act. The standards are published in Subpart C of this part and following subparts. 1926.1 B. Subpart B of this part contains statements of general policy and interpretations of Section 107 of the Contract Work Hours and Safety Standards Act having general applicability. 1926.2 Variances from Safety and Health Standards. 1926.2 A. Variances from standards which are, or may be, published in this part may be granted under the same circumstances whereunder variances may be granted under Section 6, B, A, or 6, D, of the William Steiger Occupational Safety and Health Act of 1970, 29 U.S.C. 65. The procedures for the granting of variances and for related relief under this part are those published in Part 1905 of this title. 1926.2 B. Any requests for variances under this section shall also be considered requests for variances under the William Steiger Occupational Safety and Health Act of 1970, and any requests for variances under William Steiger Occupational Safety and Health Act with respect to construction safety or health standards shall be considered to be also variances under the Construction Safety Act. Any variance from a construction safety or health standard which is contained in this part and which is incorporated by reference in Part 1910 of this title shall be deemed a variance from the standard under both the Construction Safety Act and the William Steiger Occupational Safety and Health Act of 1970. 1926.3 Inspections, Right of Entry. 1926.3 A. It shall be a condition of each contract which is subject to Section 107 of the Contract Work Hours and Safety Standards Act that the Secretary of Labor or any authorized representative shall have a right of entry to any site of contract performance for the following purposes. 1926.3 A. 1. To inspect or investigate the matter of compliance with the safety and health standards contained in Subpart C of this part and following subparts, and 1926.3 A. 2. To carry out the duties of the Secretary under Section 107 B of the Act. 1926.3 B. For the purpose of carrying out his investigative duties under the Act, the Secretary of Labor may, by agreement, use with or without reimbursement the services, personnel, and facilities of any state or federal agency. Any agreements with states under this section shall be similar to those provided for under the Walsh-Healy Public Contracts Act under 41 CFR Part 50 to 205. 1926.4 Rules of Practice for Administrative Adjudications for Enforcement of Safety and Health Standards. 1926.4 A. The rules of practice for administrative adjudications for the enforcement of the safety and health standards contained in Subpart C of this part, and the following subpart shall be the same as those published in Part 6 of this title with respect to safety and health violations of the Service Contract Act of 1965, 69 Stat. 1035, except as provided in paragraph B of this section. 1926.4 B. In the case of debarment, the findings required by Section 107D of the Act shall be made by the hearing examiner or the Assistant Secretary of Labor for Occupational Safety and Health, as the case may be. Whenever, as provided in Section 107D(2), a contractor requests termination of debarment before the end of the 3-year period prescribed in that section, the request shall be filed in writing with the Assistant Secretary of Labor for Occupational Safety and Health, who shall publish a notice in the Federal Register that the request has been received and afford interested persons an opportunity to be heard upon the request. And thereafter, the provisions of Part 6 of this title shall apply with respect to pre-hearing conferences, hearings, and related matters, and decisions and orders. 1926.5 OMB Control Numbers under the Paperwork Reduction Act. The following sections or paragraphs each contain a collection of information requirement which has been approved by the Office of Management and Budget under the control number listed. Note, for a full list of OSHA standards and OMB control numbers following the link. 1926.6 Incorporation by reference. 1926.6 A. The standards of agencies of the U.S. government, and organizations which are not agencies of the U.S. government. which are incorporated by reference in this part, have the same force and effect as other standards in this part. Only the mandatory provisions, i.e., provisions containing the word shall or other mandatory language, of standards incorporated by reference are adopted as standards under the Occupational Safety and Health Act. 1926.6 b. The standards listed in this section are incorporated by reference into this part with the approval of the Director of the Federal Register in accordance with 5 U.S.C. 552a and 1 CFR Part 51. To enforce any addition other than that specified in this section, OSHA must publish a document in the Federal Register and the material must be available to the public. 1926.6 c. Copies of standards listed in this section and issued by private standards organizations are available for purchase from the issuing organizations at the addresses or through the other contact information listed below for these private standards organizations. In addition, the standards are available for inspection at any regional office of the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, OSHA, or at the OSHA Docket Office, U.S. Department of Labor, 200 Constitution Avenue NW, Room N, 3508, Washington, D.C. 20210, telephone, 202-693-2350, TTY number, 877-889-5627. These standards are also available for inspection at the National Archives and Records Administration, NARA. For information on the availability of these standards at NARA, telephone, 202-741-6030, or go to www.archives.gov/federalregister/CFR/IBR locations. HTML. For the full list of incorporations by reference, follow the link.